You're listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Before we start our usuals, I thought we would take a moment to shout out our international listeners.
I know. How exciting is that news?
So we have this, it's like a dashboard, you could say, of stats, facts, and figures, blah, 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 about the podcast. So I was having a look at it, I think it was last week, noticed that we've got listeners in the United States of America, Australia, and Ireland.
Wow, we are truly an international phenomenon, Jen.
I mean, it's happening, so brace yourself.
We might have to start doing international content. UK versus USA wedding.
That can be next week's topic. So thank you so much for joining us. If you like us, please like, subscribe, rate and review our podcast on the platform that you listen or watch us on. We need that support and we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for being here with us each week, listening to what we've got to chat about and hopefully helping you through your wedding planning process. This week we are talking internationally all things awkward moments. What were you dreading the most before your wedding?
I think I'm quite an awkward person just generally. So I don't know if my awkward meter is like set at a normal level because I can make any situation awkward just by going in there blindly talking about a load of rubbish.
I also think that I'm super awkward in most social settings or professional.
Yeah. I think I am more awkward at other people's weddings than I am at my own. Because at your own wedding, you don't really talk to that many people. You have a quick chat with people, but then you're pulled off, so you don't have to stand there and make that awkward conversation last. Um, but I think the stuff I was most dreading is the prep for it. Speaking to all of the suppliers and having them sort of intro meetings and the dress, buying the dress was the dreaded thing.
Awful, yeah.
Yeah. But on the day, the normal sort of having to stand in front of the camera quite a lot.
Did you find that awkward?
Yeah. I'm the most unphotogenic person ever. Jordan and I just made it look like posing like with something out of a 60s magazine. It was so awkward. We didn't know how to like look at each other or where to put our hands. So there's a lot of until we got sort of warmed up later on in sort of the afternoon, we looked really kind of staged and awkward, like, ha ha, we are having so much fun. Photos.
Did you not have a what do they call it? A pre-shoot or
An
anything like that?
engagement shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, which did help a lot. It did really help a lot, but you have them 6 months before, so by the time you get to your wedding, you're back to your old awkward.
Oh, so we had ours a couple of weeks before. So all the advice on where to put your hands and what to look at and your fake smiling, that was quite fresh in the mind. I mean, I can't remember where I have to put my hands now, but
Yeah, I just found it the whole photo thing awkward, and I just even going into it, I knew it was going to be awkward. That's why I sort of said to our photographer, let's not overdo it.
yeah.
Because I just didn't want to spend my whole day feeling awkward.
See, I didn't think about that until it was too late. And because of the 2-day wedding, I'd basically been having my picture taken or been very conscious that I was being filmed for what seemed like 48 hours of my life.
Yeah.
And it got to 7 o'clock on the second day, and I was like, I just can't have any more pictures taken. I cannot smile any longer.
No.
I was also dreading the public speaking, the vows part,
Oh,
because so I've got this. My mum will understand where I'm coming from, I hope. But whenever mum takes me to church, doesn't happen very often these days, But when you go to church and people are either saying their vows or the Lord's Prayer, they're basically droning on. It's not a passionate "Our Father who art in heaven," it's "Our Father who art in heaven." I didn't want my vows to be "I shall take you in." No,
Grown fest.
didn't want that.
No.
I wanted passion and energy and our personalities. So I was obviously really worried about that because I didn't want it to be droning on and I don't know why people do that. Christians are meant to be happy people. Why are they not, celebrating the Lord's Prayer?
Go to a gospel church. They're happy, happy, dancey, dancey.
Well, Mum also took us to it's a different story altogether. It's got nothing to do with weddings, but Mum took us to it was a sort of new age Christian gospel church in Winchester at Christmas and convinced Ian to come with me. This was before we were married, so he obviously wanted to impress his in-laws, blah blah blah. Yeah, 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 I'll come. He was hoping for and expecting traditional Christmas carols because it was pitched as a carol concert. These were new age Christian carols, which I'd never heard of. I mean, they did a couple of Silent Nights here and "O Come All Ye Faithful" there, but most of it was new age Christmas carols. And then she asked us to escort her to a concert, and this Christian concert she'd pitched it as the Christian version of Mumford and Sons. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds all right. My kind of vibes. Love a bit of Mumford and Sons. Who doesn't?
A little bit of acoustic.
Yeah. Took us. The opening act was I don't even know what they were called, but basically imagine Tinchy Strider Christian rap, and then a very passionate performance from the band we actually went to see, but palms upward to the sky and I mean that was a bit too much. The
Was it?
droning on, they need to dial it up a notch.
See, I would I'm into Sister Act, so that's what I envision it to be. The choir comes on and they're all clapping and everybody's dancing, and you've got, who's it, Whoopi Goldberg in the front getting them all going.
That is the ideal.
Not what we got.
I'm not sure if English people really get the concept, just gonna put it out there. Although I would happily be proven wrong.
Yeah,
Invite us down to your gospel church and we will judge it for you.
we'll go with our notepad.
I was also oh god, I also felt really awkward about what Ian was going to say in his speech.
Oh, I remember that feeling too. It was all speeches. I was, because I didn't do a speech, but I was worried about what people were going to say too.
What was George's speech like?
I can't remember.
Oh well, probably wasn't awkward then because you probably would remember that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I did my dad's was fine. I don't remember what he said, but I remember, when you know he's trying to be funny, so you overcompensate with the laughing to like
Mm.
make him feel like he's doing a good job. So I was like, ha 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 ha. So stupid.
Oh my god. Um, I mean, I do remember what Ian said. Ian had a lot of in jokes just between him and I, which I don't think really goes down well in a group setting.
One or two would be fine.
I feel like it was quite a lot, and
Little side eye.
he hadn't written it exactly. He hadn't written out the speech, so he hadn't sort of written what he was going to say. He just wrote bullet points in his own handwriting, which nobody can read, even him at the best of times. And I
So he
thought,
just ad libbed it.
Yeah, I think he would have done. He won't be listening to this, so it's fine. I think he would have done better if he typed it out in the way that he was going to say it, and then maybe taken his bullet points, because he's already typed out what he's going to say, so that he already knows how
Yes.
it's going to flow.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd done that. Oh well.
I mean, the speeches are awkward for everybody involved, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, where did that tradition come from? Because nobody wants to do them. All the guests by that point are like, okay, we've had our dinner. Quite like to stretch my legs now.
Or they haven't had their dinner and they're starving.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like,
Yeah.
why do we do them?
I don't know really.
Just need one, the groom to say, thanks everybody for coming. Let's have a party type thing. It doesn't need to be like, my wife and I, ha ha ha. They're all just
Or
awkward.
maybe a bit more memorable in your case. I also found the whole concept of being the center of attention super awkward. You know me, I hate, as much to people's surprise, I'm actually an introvert.
Mhm.
I hate people staring. I hate the attention on me. I just don't like any of it. When I was younger, I used to cry when people sang happy birthday to me because I found it really awkward.
Yeah. Happy birthday is awkward, isn't it?
It's just, who are you looking at? Do you look them in the eye? I don't know.
Just stare at the cake.
That's what I tend to do and smile.
Yes. Just blindly look at the candles.
And didn't cut the cake because I didn't want that to be awkward either. I
No.
just don't know how, because you and I are such awkward people, I don't know how you even, apart from just cutting these things out of your wedding so you don't have to go through it, how do you make these less awkward?
Well, I don't think there is the cutting the cake thing. If there isn't any way of making it less awkward, I think you just don't do it. We've
Mm.
talked about it before, haven't we? It's like it's an old tradition that doesn't really mean much anymore. So just don't do it. Just don't do anything that makes you feel awkward.
Mm.
Like if your partner really doesn't want to do a speech, don't make them do a speech. Because, like I said, it just makes it awkward for everybody.
What's the most awkward speech you've ever witnessed?
Uh,
I'm trying to
Um,
think.
Well, no, there was I can't even remember whose wedding it was, but I just remember the father of bride got up and the speech in itself was okay, but it went on for about 20 minutes.
Too long.
It was sort of going through the life of the bride, and what he was saying was like fine. It was just way too long. So after like the 7 minute mark, it just started to get awkward because when you can see people like shifting around in their chairs and sort of getting uncomfortable and everybody's just feeling awkward. It's just way too long. And then come the end of it, you got a real big round of applause because it's over.
So, Hannah, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this story. I think you've given it to me as a story before to use on the podcast, so fingers crossed you're still okay with that. Um, so my sister-in-law Hannah, she obviously married my brother, and he had clearly done no prep whatsoever for his groom speech and didn't even mention his bride. And it kept going on. And he thought, okay, he's going to mention her in this section. Okay, maybe he'll mention her in this next section. Okay. Well, he's got to mention her now because he's been talking for 10 to 12 minutes.
What did he fill them 10 minutes with if he wasn't talking about his wife?
Like he was talking about his mum, his friends, his new in-laws, just his family in general. Probably his son. And then at the end of it, I can't even remember what he toasted to, but I think he might have just been like, cheers. The end.
Has he
Poor
ever
Harry.
has a conversation ever been had with him about that? And was it just, did you
Yeah,
not know you needed to, or was it just like in that moment where he hadn't prepped, it just sort of freaked out about it and lost
I think he'd had a
control?
couple of beers by that point.
Yep.
And I think because he didn't make any notes, and Han will have spoken to him about it afterwards. She doesn't hold back in these scenarios. God love her. Um, so we've had some of our listeners get in touch, with their listener stories of awkward moments.
I can't wait for this section.
So I'm going to go through them, and maybe you can suggest how to avoid these things happening if this was to happen in your wedding, or how to plan ahead so it does not happen.
Okay. Miss Awkward giving advice on awkward situations. Let's go.
So the first one, the best man making a joke about the groom's mum and her numerous boyfriends. Funny the first time, bit awkward the second time. By the fourth mention, she walked out mid speeches. I think if you were the best man giving that speech, you would have been able to pick up on the room the second time,
Yeah.
third time, and then fourth time. Because
There's
also, how
there's
do you walk back into the room after you've stormed out in front of everyone while everyone's cheersing to the bride and groom? Like, what? How do you come back in?
just come on when the dance floor hits and just shake it off. Here I am back. But there's not much you can do about that because you can't really control the best man speech. I mean, you can give them subjects that are out of bounds, but if that subject wasn't out of bounds, but he just over egged the joke, you can't do anything unless you stand up and say, "That's enough, Bob, sit down," which then makes an awkward moment in itself. So you just kind of let it play off and
Yeah, I just, it's the speeches, isn't it?
yeah,
Anything can go wrong.
anything can go wrong.
And it's putting that trust into other people. For me, as a control freak, not knowing what they're going to say fills me with dread.
Yeah. Also picking the best man, like, because the best, like I've said this before on the podcast, the best man speech is the one that carries the speeches, because it is the one that needs to be funny, and it is the one that needs to sort of push that them boundaries a tiny bit to like bring some energy and stuff. So if you've picked a best man that is socially awkward and isn't funny and doesn't know how to read a room, then you're setting yourself up for failure, even if it is your best mate from junior school.
Yeah.
Because they need to be funny and they need to be able to adapt a bit. So if a joke doesn't land and they've got 5 more jokes that are about penises and the first one didn't land, they need to like get rid of the others on the spot.
Have you ever heard a best man speech that jokes about penises?
No, I don't think so. Maybe there's a market.
Get in touch if you need Em's help writing your best man speech, because sounds like she's got 4 more jokes about penises to include. Next one.
Yes, please.
A guest brought their dog into the ceremony and walked down the aisle with the groom. Well, the dog walked down the aisle with the groom. Mid ceremony, the dog did a poo, and everyone in the congregation just watched. No one said anything.
Oh, well, again, you're setting yourself up for failure. What's that saying? Never work with children and animals.
That is true.
And the dog probably is in amount of stress with the music and the stupid flowers that you've put around its neck, and it's probably gonna have a little protest poo.
They can do that, can't they? They just comes out of nowhere sometimes, even if it's not normal for their daily routine.
Yeah, my little dog did a protest poo in our kitchen, couple of weeks back because we were having it renovated, and it was like a big job. It all got gutted out. The floor was up, the walls were off. She just went in there mid renovation and just did a big poo on the floor. And I think that was her sort of like, get your acts together, people, because this is not how I want to live.
Was she in a mood, or did she just go?
She's always in a mood.
True.
If anybody has ever met my cute as button doggy called Luna, she is a, how would you describe her attitude?
Regal.
Regal is perfect.
Entitled.
Yep.
Oh God, love her. The mother of the groom and the father of the groom's new wife, who do not speak.
Hang on. Who are these? Hang on, say that again.
The mother of the groom.
Yep.
And the father of the groom's new wife.
Okay, got ya.
Who do not speak. Wearing the exact same show-stopping satin gown, one in emerald and one in bright red. The
It's like wicked.
chances of this happening are quite high, because every time we put a request out for stories, somebody's always worn the same outfit as somebody else. So this does actually happen a lot, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's two stories we've had in the last couple of months about mothers of the group, mothers of the couple wearing the same thing.
Yeah. And then we also had a bridesmaid story come in where
One of the evening guests turned up with the bridesmaid.
Yeah. It does happen.
Yeah. I mean, that is awkward for them. But if everybody who knows that they don't get on, that's absolutely hilarious, isn't it?
And then you always have the, oh, should we have a picture together because we're wearing the same outfits?
But you just know they've gone home to their like respective other halves. Well, my colour was better and I styled it better. My shoes looked better with the. You just know that they've gone home and started bitching about it, and they were literally wearing the same thing.
And the fact that it's the mother of the groom and I presume her ex-husband's new wife, he's probably got a type, I would say.
That is so funny that could be in a film.
Yes.
So not only am I writing best man speeches, everybody, if you need a plot for a movie, just come and let me know.
So this one is quite funny. I was supposed to be coordinating a wedding, and at their initial planning meeting, they turned up with their 5-year-old. Not only that, but I recognised the groom from a night out. Let's just say we shared a kiss 5 or 6 years ago. The worst part, they shared that they had been together for 8 years. Needless to say, I didn't end up working on their wedding.
Oh, that's gross, isn't it?
Can you imagine?
That's just gross for her.
Yeah.
He was probably absolutely oblivious to it too. I'm stereotyping him very fully here, but he wouldn't have recognised her.
You don't think?
No, he would be doing this every Saturday night.
Guys are very different, aren't they?
Yeah. At least she didn't work with them.
True.
Conflict of interest.
And the fact that they had a 5-year-old, they've been together for 8 years, and they've said that we shared a kiss 5 or 6 years ago.
So she would have been pregnant.
Ish. They were definitely together. Rude. We hope they had a happy and long marriage. I walked in on the groom naked. That's always awkward.
Who walked in? A photographer?
No, didn't say.
And so, But I'm assuming this was at the beginning of the day when he was getting dressed and not like
I
mid
presume.
mid party just goes into the toilet and takes his clothes off.
Yeah. Not much not much resolution to that.
No, I mean I when I was doing makeup for weddings, I've never walked in anybody naked, but I've definitely walked in on some sites.
Like what?
Well, I was doing makeup for this wedding that I hadn't. The makeup artist that I had booked it was really poorly, so she texted me at like 6 o'clock in the morning and said, are you free? You couldn't go and do this makeup. I've got food poisoning." So I didn't know the venue. I didn't know, like, all she told me was the time and how many people it was. So I didn't know where I was going. I've never met the people before. So I turned up and I went to the reception of the hotel and I said, "Hi, makeup artist for the wedding of blah, blah, blah." They were like, "Yes, yes, that's room 602, which is normal. You'd go to their hotel room. I was 10 minutes early because I wanted to get there a little bit early to explain what had happened and make sure they're all comfortable. Knocked on the door, and so the bride opened the door, and it looked like she had just come off a booze cruise. Like, everything was dark in there. There was people all asleep all over the floor. Her hair was all messy. Her mascara was all over the place. And I was just like, oh no. I was like, "Hi, makeup artist for the wedding?" She was like, "Yeah, great. We're going to do the makeup in another room." I was like, "Okay, what room's that?" And she told me the number, and I just went into that room, set up, and just waited for them all to come out.
So they'd clearly been on a sesh the night before.
There was a champagne bottle like rolling on the floor. People were asleep on the floor in sleeping bags. It was horrendous. And like, when you wake up and you've got like a crop top and shorts on, and like you're not fully positioned, your chest isn't fully positioned in there.
Right.
It was like that. I didn't. Ugh.
How
It
did
felt
it
really nice in the end.
I was gonna say, did they rally or
Yeah, absolutely. My knock on the door got them going. They all had a shower. They all had hair of the dog, and then they were absolute legends, actually. Drinking from like, because I was there about 7, drinking from 7 on, they were. So, but yeah,
I think I would have had to dug myself an early grave.
I thought so. But when they got through it, and they were like, they had the music on when I was doing it, so it was actually quite a nice vibe. But I didn't quite know what I was walking into.
Were they I presume they were pretty chill at the fact that it wasn't the makeup artist that they were expecting.
Yeah, very chill. They actually said that they liked what I did more. So
Great.
great. Yeah, they were lovely.
Hmm. Mother of the bride decided she wanted to make the wedding cake. As the day went on, it was veering more and more south before collapsing altogether by lunchtime. Brackets, more of a disaster story than awkward moment, close brackets. Quick trip to M&S to pick up a replacement.
Well, they sorted it out themselves, didn't they?
I think when
They
you
guessed and they go, "Oh, that's a pretty cake," and then looking over and they think, "Oh, I think that's sliding off there." Well, just ignore that. Looking back 20 minutes later, yep, that's definitely on a time slide there.
flopped over to the side,
You not doing anything about it.
well, could have been a DIY wedding.
Yeah, but you've got someone there that would like go and like at least just get your hands on it and put it up.
Get your hands on it.
So you just like, oh, just like tip this back.
Yeah, and then you have like people's dirty fingernails digging into the
Very
icing.
full cake.
Really? I'd rather the cake on the floor than the fingernails touching. No, thanks. No, no way. You hear those horror stories about urine peanuts in bars and stuff where men or women go to the toilet, don't wash their hands, they have their urine particles on their hands, eating the peanuts, sharing it with the other No, no, thank you. Urine,
Urine particles on the wedding cake.
not for me. I'd rather throw it in the bin.
Yeah, I'm a bit funny with ham. Like, I know all cakes are handmade. I kind of know the process of making a cake, but when it looks like it's been handmade in your nan's kitchen, that makes me feel a bit queasy too.
Really?
Yeah.
Even a Victoria sponge? Homemade lemon drizzle?
I mean, if it's in a kitchen that I know, like if it was my nan's kitchen or a friend's kitchen, I can get over that. But if it's a randomer's kitchen that I've never been in and can't see how clean it is, it gets. I'll have a slice to be polite, but I'm doing it with like prickles down my back.
How did you cope in the office that we used to work in then? Because people were bringing their homemade baked goods every day.
I didn't, unless it came out of a packet, I didn't eat it.
Oh, I never noticed that.
So I'd eat the Jaffa cakes that they brought too, rather than cake.
Chocolate fingers, yeah.
But if it's like, if it looks like it's been well kept, so if it's like a professional, in inverted commas, cake, I have no problem. It like doesn't really make sense when I'm saying it out loud, but because the professional cakes are often made in their home kitchens too, but there's something about it being square and iced with beautiful flowers that I can get over. When it's like quite obviously homemade in someone's random kitchen, nope.
What about when you find a hair in your food and you go out for dinner?
Yeah, no.
Right. No? Um, Obviously we have 2 dogs at our house, so there is often hair in the food. Just sort of pick it out and put it to one side. Unless we have guests, of course. There's never any hair in any food when I'm serving my guests. I'm like, when you have guests, I'm literally cleaning the kitchen worktop, cleaning the chopping boards before I even start chopping, making sure everything is clean or wiped so there's no hairs anywhere. Dogs are away in their beds,
Yeah.
nothing will touch the surface. But when we're just at home together, just pull out the dog hairs.
Yeah, but I would be okay because I know that if I came around yours and there was a hair, I'd just pull it out and keep eating. But it's the unknown, like whose hair is this and where has that come from? Nope. But if it's a friend or family, I'm not bothered. It's
I don't think I am either. If I was at yours and there was a blonde hair in your chili, I wouldn't be bothered.
just pull it out with you and carry on.
But if I was in a restaurant, I'd be outraged and making a written formal complaint.
Jen is the best at complaining in restaurants. I often go out with Jen with Tyler, and Tyler and I just sort of sit back and let her get us free stuff.
Like the VIP bongos bingo
Yeah,
upgrade.
yeah, exactly.
Um, okay, next one. I hosted a venue open, so this is from a wedding coordinator. I hosted a venue open day, saw this couple approaching. I had met the groom on a night out the year before. Swiftly turned and begged someone else to show them around, thinking they would never actually book. The next month, I saw their names in the appointment diary. They came to pay their deposits with their newborn in tow, and he had clearly not told her anything. He just sat awkwardly, fidgeting and avoiding eye contact with me. I made sure I stayed well out of sight on their wedding day.
So that one remembered.
And the timings. So I met the groom on a night out the year before, and then they came in with their newborn,
Yep, she was definitely priggers.
or on the way to being. Just
Just absolute. I'm just trying to filter my language. Wankers. Sorry. I
I just think if you have put a ring on someone's finger, or if you are planning to do that, there's a level of commitment that comes before that, and that is monogamy
Yeah.
or mutually agreed open relationship, which is quite rare.
Then working is quite rare.
True.
Yeah.
Uh, the next one.
I know you're laughing before you even started.
I mean, I don't think this is awkward. I think this is legendary. The best man did a freestyle rap instead of a stereotypical best man speech. It was so awkward. It wasn't good, and we were at a wedding about to eat the chicken dinner, not raving.
Not raving.
Can you imagine? Now, this is a story all about how. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Epic.
I just
And
think
the
that's
fact that it wasn't very good and not very funny probably makes it even better.
even more hilarious.
Yeah.
I really hope that it was captured on their wedding video and that anonymous person who wrote in can send it to us so I can watch it and relive the whole moment.
I mean, you know, you've just done your rap about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
You could rewrite that about the couple. That'd be pretty hard. See, I am a best man's speech
Yes, but
writer.
then it wouldn't be a freestyle original car
Mm.
crash moment. It would be a thought out, planned version. And if you were like huge Fresh Prince fans, would probably make sense.
Yeah, he's epic. He gave it a go, didn't he?
I think he gave it more than a go. I think he deserves a Brit Award for
My
his.
vision is that he gets his tie and puts it round his head like a bandana, and then starts. Yeah.
God, I wish I'd been there. The MC completely forgot the bride and groom's names when announcing them into the venue. Please be upstanding for Mr. and Mrs. Bride and Groom. That is exactly the kind of thing I would do.
You've got one job, mate.
Yeah.
Job.
It's like when you meet someone for the first time and they either introduce themselves by name or you get introduced to them by name. They're like, oh, good evening, Emma. My name's Richard. Nice to meet you. I will have instantly forgotten what their name was.
Me too. I sometimes look at people that I've known for years and I'm like standing dead, looking at them straight in the face, thinking, what is your name? And it takes me a good 20 seconds for it to clock back in.
See, I'm okay in that scenario. It's just when I first meet someone, they tell me what their name is. For some reason, my mind blanks out the name part. And then it's a bit, oh, sorry, what did you say your name was? You've literally just said what your name was and I wasn't listening. But so in mine and Emma's day job, I spend a lot of time with one of our senior members of leadership who has been within our organisation for a very, very long time. And often somebody will be walking over to both of us and he'll just sort of lean in and say, who's this? And I'll just be able to whisper, her name's Bollyman. They were here last year. He's like, oh, Blah, so good to see you.
That's like The Devil Wears Prada.
It can be like that sometimes. Or he'll come up to me after they've been chatting for like 10, 20, 30 minutes. Be like, who was that? Oh, you spent quite a lot of time with them this time last year doing this, this, and this. Oh, okay. Um,
Yeah, no, so I don't have short-term or long-term memory for names.
in the moment, we'll never remember it. But if you showed me a picture of probably all the people I went to secondary school with and said, what's this person's name? I would be able to tell you. Apart from, I don't know. So me and my best friend Tess, we tend to do Guess Who games quite a lot. And there are a couple of people who now work with Emma and I in our day jobs who we went to school with. So was playing a Guess Who game. She's reading off these names that I've never even heard of. And then sending me the screenshot of the yearbook to prove that, in fact, that was somebody that we went to school with. So it doesn't always work.
So I could probably tell you a lot of the people that I went to school with, but I couldn't tell you the names of the people that I work with. So I just block it out. That came out wrong.
Good job
My
on the
my
screen when you're on your virtual Teams calls that
do
it
you
actually
do
has
you
their
remember
name at
one?
the bottom. Yes, Karen, thank you so much for that point. We will move on.
Anything from you, Bob?
In when I go through recruitment, and we've been through quite a lot of recruitment over the last few months. I now have a great team and love all the girls, but because there were quite a few interviews I was doing, I would have to be like, I'd be looking at my notes, looking at what my next question is, prepare what I'm going to ask them, just like so. Then I just glance up at the screen to double check what their name was, and literally probably a 3-second pause, which is quite a long time when nobody's saying anything, just to double check that I'd got their name right. Every single one. And I booked all of the interviews. I did all of the recruitment admin. I've been dealing with these people's names for probably, in one case, 6 to 8 weeks.
I think it's like the stress factor. All
Mm.
of a sudden, you need to remember their name, and then you're sort of silently freaking out that you're going to get it wrong. And so then in your head, you're doing this whole thing about, oh, what is their name?
Panicking.
Yeah. But like the MC that we were talking about, he had one job to announce the bride and groom.
Just write it on a post-it.
Yeah.
Stick it on your mic.
Yeah.
That's it. Although, when Ian and I were welcomed into our wedding reception on the second day, the MC announced us as Mr. and Mrs. Richardson,
Oh dear.
which is clearly not my surname. Not for any reason apart from I don't want to be another Mrs. Richardson, but quite like my surname too.
Yeah.
So just please be outstanding for the bride and groom. That would have been fine.
Or Jen and Ian.
Yeah. Or the newlyweds.
Yeah. The happy couple.
I am Mr. and Mrs. Richardson here, I'm afraid. There's just a Mrs. and a Mr. separate surnames. I think this is the last one, Em. I think
Okay.
I've done them all apart from this one. Uh, the DJ's playlist had a mad moment during the first dance and abruptly cut to David Guetta. Damn, she's a sexy bitch.
Oh, that's brilliant. Like, I love you. Bum, bum, bum. So if that was me, I just would have like started to dance to it.
Well, I presume it then cut back to the romantic song.
Oh, it was just like an interlude.
Just damn, she's a sexy bitch, and then back to me. I think that was probably on purpose.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, because the likelihood of that being timed perfectly. That was the groom getting his input into the day.
Mm-hmm. Forget about best man freestyle raps. It's all about the first dance remix.
Brilliant.
Any final words, Em, on avoiding these awkward moments?
No, no, I don't think. I don't. You've just got to like ride them. Some of the ones where you feel awkward about, like if you're feeling awkward about the speeches or you're feeling awkward about cutting the cake, you can make a decision to not do it or practice or something. But when the awkward moments are other people's bringing them into your wedding, I don't think there's much you can do. You just need to like roll with it. Like the music thing, just roll with it. The best man rapping, just roll with it. You can't do it. You just can't do anything, can you? Just see the funny side in it and move on.
I also think that these kind of stories really make the day, and people maybe not the first one that we've talked about with the mother of the jokes about the groom's mum. I think most of these things make the day, just
Yeah.
like the embarrassing stories episode that we did. People will remember the best parts from your day. They're not going to remember. I mean, they might remember the best man rap, because I will remember that forever, and I wasn't even there. But and you probably won't remember it either, because you'll be wrapped up in the day anyway. Even if you walked in on someone naked.
But it'd be like, do you remember that wedding that we went to where the best man did that rap? That was like, even if they don't really remember, they'll remember them moments. That's how they'll be like, oh yeah, that was Jen and Ian's wedding, you know, and then they'll talk about it because there's that point that they sort of reference.
I wish it had been my wedding, because I would have loved that best man rap freestyle. Please like, subscribe, rate, review our podcast on whatever platform you listen or watch us on. And if you'd like to keep up to date with podcast subjects, or if you want to send in your dilemmas or questions, please follow us at our Instagram account, the I Do Crew Podcast. Next weekend, we're talking all things the morning of your wedding. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
You've been listening to the I Do Crew podcast with Jen and Emma. Keep up to date with our podcast news by following our I Do Crew podcast Instagram account. Thanks for listening.